Wow. Am I audible? This is fantastic to feel the energy in this room. I don't know about you guys, but really the place I want to be right now is on a keyboard building because of all of the great use cases that we just heard about in the morning, and ultimately we're going to try to flesh those out a little bit more for you over the next couple of minutes, over the next couple of hours, and then get to those boot camps where we again get to get our keys on the keyboard. So like I said, my name is Brian Pfeifferich. I lead EATON Corporation's efforts in building our supply chain digital ecosystem, and I want to start by thanking Palantir, number one, and the Palantirians that have been partnering with me in order to build this. The energy that you guys have brought to our hackathons, our workshops, the late nights on the tops of rooftops, the ability for us to really innovate with you on the ground with those that we are working with and trying to make their life better has been fantastic. So Mark, Danny, Molly, Drew, Caleb, Pierre-Louis, Trisha, many others, including Jack, including CJ, who helped me make all this presentation. This has been fantastic to work with you guys and your energy, and it's very, very exciting to be building together, to be really building our future. So continuing on, kind of the very first question that I got as I stood over there was, hey, what is EATON, right? So we're not exactly a household name, but we are an intelligent power management company. We deliver products that manage power in the electrical, mobility, aerospace industries, and we like to say that we make what matters work. We're currently serving several markets where the mega trends are driving significant growth for our businesses, putting a lot of pressure on our supply chain. And we're one of those few companies that's actually been around and publicly traded for over 100 years. So we understand how to consistently deliver strong results for our shareholders, our customers, our suppliers, and our employees. Our supply chain, by the numbers, involves delivering over 100,000 sales orders every single day by producing those orders in 300 plants and using over 32 million parts to do so. That includes finished goods, work in process, and the raw materials that we need to buy. And we're currently doing so with over 72 ERP instances. And that's due to our aggressive portfolio management strategies that include acquisition. So it's a lot of complexity there, but hopefully you've learned a little bit about us here today as we've got $20.8 billion of revenue coming our way, which we're expecting those mega trends to really help us take to the next level. So this morning, I'm just going to share one of several use cases that we are collaborating with Palantir, and it's related to material shortages. If you're in business, if you're part of a manufacturing company, or if you've experienced COVID, you understand what's going on when I say material shortages and all of the disruptions that can happen when you are not having the right material at the right time. Today, we face a little over 5,000 shortages per day across our 300 plants. For many of these shortages, our plants muscle through. Right? They figure out how to work around these shortages to meet our financial objectives. They collaborate with suppliers. They roll up their sleeves and really figure out innovative ways to solve for these material shortage problems. But we started to truly appreciate the challenge that they were going through every single day, really at the beginning of COVID. We had a situation where at the end of the month, we had an end of a quarter, right? We had a very significant miss in our revenue numbers, and it was all pointed to material shortages. Our executives said, well, where are they? I want to help, right? And we had no visibility, no ability to roll that up and say, hey, leverage your relationship with this supplier. Let's go get that material so that we can break through and meet our financial commitments. And this started us on a journey of trying to turn on our digital ecosystem with whatever tools we could find, right? Excel, email, meetings, right? All these things that helped us roll up our sleeves and aggregate the information coming off of our 72 ERPs to be able to present to the executives how they could make a difference, right, for our business. So this is a very challenging way of working, and we needed a better way. we needed to actually operationalize our data. And as I've learned with my friend Raj Daw from Komatsu, right, we needed to bring the people to the data. And that's what Palantir is going to allow us to do. So we started on our journey to build EATON's supply chain ontology, which I formerly used to call a digital twin, right, or a common data model, until I, met a bunch of hobbits or Palantirians from the Shire, right? So this is our journey of building our ontology. Here we're going to start kind of playing videos for you, and I'm not exactly going to sort of point at them, but so bear with me. But we started by using near real-time connections to our ERP systems, the 72 instances, and started using the SDDI, right, software-defined data integration. I wish I could pause it right there. And as well as now we're starting to use AIP to create our supply chain ontology, otherwise known as Danny likes to say, the nouns and verbs of supply chain, the things we talk about every single day. And we used material experts, on-site plant visits, right? You've heard that a lot over the course of the morning, right? And getting into the spot of the frontline worker. We were able to get down into those plants and start to build the application that we're going to show you today. The material shortage solution that is based on understanding the revenue impact of every single part within our supply chain digital ecosystem. So the very first thing that you see on this screen with this demo of revenue per part or our material shortage solution is you see a full list of all 5,000 material shortages that we have across the company. We now have that real time. And then we start actually leveraging the ontology, the full power of the ontology, to have visibility to every shortage in real time, and the revenue impact of each of those shortages is dynamically calculated in real time, right? When we first started collecting the information, the very first thing we realized in that challenging situation with our executives was as soon as we collected it, it was wrong, right? So our workflow, utilizing this application that we've built, now follows 3 key stages, right? Identify our shortages, give us the ability to prioritize those shortages, and then be able to start assigning them with a complete understanding of the context under which why would we want to solve that particular problem, and we want to outfit whoever's assigned with great contextualized information about what's going on, right? We found that happening within our business as well. As soon as we asked for help, all of a sudden, right, the person assigned to help was asking more questions, right? So you kind of had this very, this very complicated set of information that needed to be transferred in order to get the help going to where it needed to happen. And given the links, right, you saw it happen faster than I could talk about, but we were able to really drill down into each one of those customers or sales orders that are impacted by the shortage that we are working with. Moving on, we then allow the assigned resource to start creating actions and ultimately start to build up our understanding of who's working on what and what shortages are actually being actioned, ultimately allowing us to manage, from a complete view, the allocation of distributed resources across our entire network, which includes people that are working globally. It includes executives that have the supplier relationships that matter, and it allows you to take action in a way that the organization is immediately updated through right back to the ontology that there's somebody working on that. What we found historically as we started working was that every day we were essentially downloading a fresh set of data from our ERP systems and having to rework on it, right? There was no memory. There was no ability for us to actually bring people to the data. We were constantly trying to manage things outside of the system, and we know there's a better way to do that. With the submitted request being submitted, right, this is kind of a manual way for us to be able to understand what's being worked on. And what we realized was that, in fact, right, we can do a whole lot more. And 5 weeks ago, we got the chance to go through an AIP boot camp. We got to go to Chicago. You saw a picture of it a little bit earlier. I got the chance to fist bump Alex Karp as Dr. Karp as we were there and learned about Tai Chi. But each alert that we were seeing had the ability for us to apply AI logic there and be able to generate solutions. So rather than give very simple prescriptive solutions for our people to work on, we realized that there's actually all kinds of ways that people solve problems. And we could now start to leverage the LLM to automatically create those in a way that they could be evaluated, right? With human in the loop, then the human in the loop, they could then be actioned on. And this has been really exciting to get going, and we're going to deep dive into some of the logic that's behind the AI agents that we've got working on our behalf. You've actually already seen that, but let's dive a little bit more into the details of each of these alerts and see how these options are being created. So what we're going to do next is we're going to drop into one of these suggestions, right, where we have used the LLM to find a similar part within our ecosystem, right? It's not the same part number, but it's got similar descriptions. We've sent an AI agent out to do this, and it happens in a very pretty slick way. So number one, we take a part number and its description and we enrich it using an explainer for the person assigned, right? Sometimes it takes years to figure out our part numbers. We have 32 million of them, right? So now with the LLM, we can actually give you real language about what that part is, which actually helps solve the problem. We then pass that to a second LLM using the K LLMs that have been talked about before in a streamlined workflow to be able to go scan our organization, scan our network, scan our ontology for all kinds of available solutions that can be presented. And then finally, we use a third LLM that then evaluates those to be able to contextualize that suggestion with a, hey, we think this might really work, or hey, we think this is really not a great solution. So we're providing that back to the assigned resource with a click of a button, right? And we came up with all kinds of ways that we wanted our teams to be solving material shortages. But each one of those required them to take action themselves. Sometimes that takes over an hour to go try all of those solutions. And ultimately, we can do that with a click of a button now with AIP. As we look, the next thing that happens is feedback, right? And this was talked about a little bit and the thing is actually the most exciting part of AIP from my perspective is that you can actually start to capture real tacit knowledge of what's happening within your plant and put that right back into your ontology, for which we have an AI agent that will go check it, right? Ultimately, this gives you the chance to do knowledge transfer from person to person as you move people throughout your organization. It gives you the chance to really understand what resiliency you have in your supply chain that you couldn't see before, and really start pressing in on areas where you have problems and can focus on areas where you don't have solutions that can be found. Moving on, before this is kind of the next step, right, is okay, I've now got a user here who has selected a way to solve the problem, and they're being prompted to proceed, right? And this is where we can make life really easy. We haven't gotten this far yet, but we're going to kind of be demonstrating what we believe the world could be like. We can go ahead and take action on their behalf to proceed and execute this within our ERP systems. This is a very challenging thing to do, and we've got a lot left to learn before we do this. But today, as you write back to the ontology, you're going to learn well. As you write back to the ERP system, you're going to be making life a lot easier for our organization in terms of taking action that is available to them and orchestrating those actions on their behalf with a clear record of how those changes were made with real-time connection to your ERP system. So couldn't be more excited about where we're headed with this at Eaton Corporation. I think you kind of notice the complexity that we have, but this is just the beginning as far as I can see. And based off of what I'm learning today, we've got a lot of exciting times ahead of us. So just to summarize, together, with Palantir, we're turning on the lights. We're empowering our teams to identify, prioritize, and assign materials, assign people to solve material shortages. We're offering AI-powered recommendations to resolve issues now and enabling our teams to focus on making systemic improvements to our supply chain and our ERPs to correct these root causes. And we know that there's more that we can build to enable Eaton's growth by developing more efficient, sustainable power management solutions that meet the ever-changing needs of our world. Like I said, we like to say that we make what matters work, and Palantir is helping us focus on what matters. Thank you.